Hello, this is Brett Ratner, the director of Tower Heist, and I'm sitting here with my good friend
Ted Griffin, co-writer of Tower Heist.
Jeff Nathanson, same.
Mark Helfrich, editor of
And
Tower
we're
Heist.
all shirtless.
And we're here talking about Tower Heist. I wanted to tell everybody how Tower Heist came about. Eddie Murphy had the original idea for Tower Heist. He wanted to do a movie with all of the great young black comedians, Chris Tucker, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, Jamie Foxx, and he wanted them working in a tower in Manhattan.
I think we could actually sell that movie now, that concept, back to Universal. And
Maybe.
do it again.
And basically they were going to rip off Donald Trump. And I attempted to do that with several writers and failed miserably at doing that. Was not able to pull that off.
How long ago was that?
Years ago. And we ultimately, we came up with a script that was a fun movie, but it was very similar to Ocean's 11, written by Ted Griffin, because it was a bunch of guys ripping off a rich guy. And I was actually supposed to do Ocean's 11 at one point, and that's where I met Ted.
You hired me to write that movie.
Yeah, I wrote a spec script that Ted wrote called Ravenous, which was amazing. And
Over $100 million at the domestic box office, Ravenous. Well, no, sorry, over $100,000 at the domestic box office.
$100,000, yeah.
That's right, I got this mixed up.
And so I didn't end up doing that movie. I ended up doing Rush Hour 2 instead with Jeff, who's sitting to my right. And I missed an opportunity of doing Oceans and thought, okay, well, this is a great opportunity. So I'm going to reach out to Ted again, send him the script that I developed based on Eddie's original idea. And Ted called me up one day and he said, I have good news and I have bad news. I don't know if you remember this, Ted. The good news is that I'm going to write this script for you. The bad news is that I'm going to throw away what you've done thus far, which is about 2 years of work. And I was panicking. I said, Ted, how long is this going to take? Oh, just a few months. Cut to a year later, and Ted hands me a...
I'm going to amend the story when
Okay,
you're done.
go ahead. Let's hear
Continue
it.
with your version.
Tell me what...
Well, I was drinking heavily at the time, so probably everything you're saying is correct. Okay, but because I remember talking to you and reading a couple of drafts of the script, and I'm sure, Jeff, did you get the draft?
I had been sending... By the way, I've been sending
Leave
Jeff...
me out of this part of it.
No, but I've been sending Jeff the script from the very beginning, because Jeff and I have collaborated many, many times. Jeff was working on another script called 39 Clues with Steven Spielberg, and so he was not available for 3 years. And so, but I was sending him versions of the script just to get some input, some notes, some ideas. And, Ted came to me and said, what did you say?
Because whenever I read the draft, I thought there's nothing wrong with the script. I was always kind of confused by why, what makes this heist movie special? What is it unique about it? And then this really fortunate thing happened, which was that the world economy tanked and Bernie Madoff got busted, which was obviously not fortunate for the world, but at least for this movie, and kind of inspired a great villain and therefore a great reason to rip somebody off.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I think I called you up and I said, okay, now I think I know what to do. Unfortunately, all your good work doesn't apply to this new idea.
Right.
So it wasn't that...
So Ted basically then wrote a page 1 rewrite.
In 6 months.
In 6 months, which was very fast for him. And I then
He just turned it in a year later.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to cool on a windowsill.
For those of you following along at home, that's a page a day.
Yeah, it's a page a day. And so then, of course, Jeff finished his work on 39 Clues, and I sent the script to Jeff and said, Jeff, can you come on board and help me, kind of, because it's at that point we still we didn't have any actors.
And Ted had gone off to do his own something else.
I had gone to do the hit show Terriers, over $100 million at the domestic box office, which was a one-and-done basic cable show.
So Jeff came on board, and Jeff did what he always does for me, which is get me a green light, which is take the script all the way to the point where I was able to get Ben Stiller to agree to star in the movie, because really what we talked about, what we all set out to do, was to make the quintessential New York heist movie. Because of movies that I grew up loving, all of us grew up loving, really, like the original Taking of the Pelham 123, which was a dramatic heist movie basically, but it had a tremendous amount of humor that came from the characters that were in the film.
How did you go to Ben? What was the thinking and how did that process?
Well, basically, I've been a fan of Ben's and a friend of Ben's for 15 years. We never worked together. I think he'd actually offered me to direct Zoolander. So I knew he wanted to work with me, and he was on the set of Little Fockers, and I went to the set of his movie, and I said, Ben, you know, I have this script, and I want you to star in it. And he called me on Monday and said, I'm in. And that was after you had worked on the draft. Was it after or before? Do you remember? I can't even remember.
At this time, was Eddie still in?
No, we hadn't showed the script to Eddie because I had not told him all the changes and all the process that it went through. He was just like, show me the script when you're happy with it, basically. And after Ben came on board, we sent it to Eddie. Eddie saw the script, saw the character of Slide, and said, this is great, man, let's do this. And that's why we're all sitting here, because that's how it happened. And, you know, the other movies that we loved, that we talked about a lot, were Hot Rock, you know, which is great, which is, you know, a Redford movie. And, of course, The Anderson Tapes, which took place in one building with Sean Connery, which is really cool. And, you know, there's heist movies and there's New York heist movies. And New York heist movies, you know, New York is a character in the film, and, you know, the building is a character in the film. Aside from all these great characters. And I think what Ted did really was he diversified the film. He took it from an all-black kind of cast, which didn't really make sense because everybody in the building isn't black necessarily. Right. And
I'm also, those people who can't see me at home, I'm one of the whitest people you'll ever meet, so I'm the wrong guy to write for exclusively Eddie, Chris Rock,
Chris
Dave
Tucker,
Chappelle,
all those guys.
I need an Alda in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Whereas Jeff Nathanson,
Yes.
very ethnic.
I never checked my balls at the BK. Sure, you can call me Enrique or Lil Disco or the Puerto Rican Mojito.
Mark, I'm curious, how early do you read a script? And also, I'm curious, you've worked with Brett how many times before?
I have edited all of Brett's movies, so I read the script as soon as he gives it to me. I didn't read the all-black version of the script, but I read some of the drafts early on, and I knew it was going to be good. It's just, as soon as I read it, another draft was already in the works.
Sir, that package you ordered from Cairo arrived 3 days early. Yeah, it's on its way from the airport.
Brett, will you tell us who this gentleman is?
Oh, this is my friend Johnny Pagazzi. He's a friend of mine who's a billionaire, who's, you know, one of my rich friends, and I thought he has the right personal wardrobe for this movie. That his wardrobe would definitely.
I think he's fantastic. Like in
the only non-actor in the movie.
Yeah.
But basically, it was credit to Jeff and Ted's script that I was able to get Casey Affleck and Michael Pena and Alan Alda and Judd Hirsch and Taya and all these great actors. It was really a testament to the characters that were created by these guys, because you can't get actors like this. And the key really was, for those of you curious, is the formula, the rule that I went after was put Ben and Eddie in the movie, but surround them with great dramatic actors. Even Gabourey, you know, who's from Precious, is considered a dramatic actress. She's not a comedic actress. So surround these two guys with great, and I did it in Rush Hour. You know, with Jackie and Chris, I put, you know, John Lone and Zhang Ziyi and in the first one, Tom Wilkinson, and I surrounded those two guys who were very funny. I think people make a mistake when they make action comedies where they get comedians to the stars and they surround them with a bunch of comedians. It loses the gravitas, it loses the weight, it loses, you know, the realism, because then everyone's trying to get their jokes in, everyone's trying to be funny and steal the scene, where everybody kind of, the comedy really came from the characters and the situation these characters were in, really. And
It's interesting to see Casey, just because of all the conversations we had with him, where he was actually trying to get us to cut him out of the movie.
yeah, Casey spent every day on set trying to convince us to cut him out of the movie, probably not knowing.
Kind of the same way on Oceans.
Really?
Yeah.
And on post-production, he is the one actor who came into the editing room.
He's the only actor
and wanted to try other versions because he ad-libs so much.
Yeah.
He's got and really funny stuff. Some stuff I thought was really, really funny, but Brett, you thought it was way too over the top. There's some really funny stuff. But
Casey's hilarious, but he had a very specific idea that his character should not be in the movie.
Yeah.
Which
is
I've
a
never
problem.
seen an actor have that idea
See
before.
what the market did today?
Went up 106 points.
So this stuff, this was, I think, the most complicated movie I've ever done. And I think all the movies that I've done in the past have prepared me for this movie. You know, one is it's an ensemble. Two, it's got a tremendous amount of visual effects, believe it or not. I think we had over 500. I've had
You had
movies with
535
Like
visual
this shot,
effects
people probably
shots.
don't even realize is a visual effects shot.
Yeah,
Just
This
watching.
every shot
with a window.
with
is,
the window is on a stage with green screen behind it.
Yeah.
Is that true of the restaurant as well?
Bank will be
No, the restaurant,
restaurant
was
was
the one.
okay.
Okay, not every.
That was the one thing I thought might.
Every scene within
The tower.
the tower. is
But
in
we
green
you know, we built the lobby, that incredible lobby. Christy Zia was the production designer. Brilliant job. I had worked with her before on Family Man on Red Dragon, and she had done Silence of the Lambs and Goodfellas and The Departed. And, you know, I had the A+ team. Dante Spinotti is my cinematographer who shot Family Man, Red Dragon, X-Men for me. Also shot LA Confidential and Heat and The Insider. And, of course, I had, who else worked on the movie? Everybody. I mean,
Costume.
Well, Mark
Yeah.
Russell and all his visual effects houses, you know.
yeah, I used a New York local visual effects supervisor who had relationships with all the New York houses. And it was a challenge for me because it seems like the movie is very simplistic and straightforward until the end, really. But there was a lot of complications in executing this film and a lot of moving parts and moving pieces. But Sarah Edwards, incredible costume designer who I had never worked with before. But really, I think what makes a great heist movie, in my opinion, is a great heist. First and foremost. Second of all, is obstacles. And I think that's what these guys created, is tremendous obstacles, which takes away from the boredom. And this was really, if I think about it, the antithesis of Oceans, because those guys are all professional thieves. The idea for this was that a bunch of blue-collar, working-class guys that didn't know how to, didn't have a specific talent in thievery, in criminality. They were just regular. Now, they knew the inner workings of the building, which also made it more complicated because you know the inner workings of the building, you know every door, every lock. It should be easy. But then again, these writers created complications for us where they got fired from the building. The other thing that I think you need is a great villain, and that's something that I learned from watching a lot of great heist movies, or even any movie, like a James Bond. You need a great villain in order to raise the stakes, in order to care what these guys are up against. And if the villain is goofy or broad or silly, then there's no stakes, and people are watching the movie. They might be laughing, they might be enjoying it, but you walk away really not giving a shit.
Headed to San Diego. Spend a little time.
Had you shot a movie in New York before?
I've only shot part of Family Man in New York. I've never shot an entire movie in New York, and it was the greatest experience for me because I shot all my student films on the streets in New York City, and it was like going back to my childhood. And there's nothing like shooting in New York. Every direction you point the camera, whether it's an extra, someone on the street. I mean, one of the greatest moments in my life was shooting the Thanksgiving Day Parade because I had total control of the street. We blocked off 6 blocks, had recreated the parade, and I'll never forget the image of Snoopy going up Central Park West, me saying cut, Jamie reset, going back down Central Park West, and literally the crazies on the street would come out and be like, why is the parade going on? I mean, people were like losing their mind. It was like so, and just the faces and the people in the street, and every direction you point the camera. People would, my AD would say, all right, we're blocking the street here. I go, no, if there's a huge arrest in Columbus Circle, there's going to be hundreds of people in the street watching it. If a car flips in Columbus Circle and in Upper Manhattan, why would you clear the streets and put all our extras in there? And that's what I loved about this movie, is I was able to use the real people that are there on the street. And shooting in New York City is really the ultimate, and it was the greatest experience of my life.
Robbery at the International last year.
All right, I want you to slowly lock the door and clear the lobby. Stay calm.
Lock it down. Code black on all doors and elevators. Repeat, code black.
What's code black?
Are you serious? We talked about it at the meeting last month. Let me see the outside of the building. I think we're about to be robbed. There were 4 guys out there with guns.
How many days did you shoot?
Let me see the garage.
70.
Why is it still
It was
in here?
4
Why can't
months,
pick up
I know
his
that.
gas
4
tank?
months, 70-something days.
And
With
it was
2
all,
days.
all in New York. The stages were in Brooklyn.
Stages were in Brooklyn.
Where was
and we shot in Queens at Ben's apartment, a house was in Queens.
Okay.
Most of it was in Manhattan. I shot most of it in Manhattan. This was the actual, for instance, this right here was the actual real bowels of the tower, of Trump Tower. Which is, no, this was Trump Tower.
The one in Columbus Circle? The one on
We
Fifth
mixed it.
Avenue?
We used part of Trump International, which was Donald Trump, the exteriors part. And then the garage was actually the Trump Tower, which was Donald Trump's private garage where only he gets to use all packaging and receiving goes through.
Where
there.
we went, like, I don't know how many years ago when we were first. I was first starting out on this. You took me on a tour of the Fifth Avenue Trump building.
Yes.
And the bowels.
That's where
I
that's
just
where
want to
the
get bowels in as often as possible into this commentary.
yeah, that's where we used the basement of where all the workers were, and that was Donald Trump's private garage, which was very cool, real location.
And and after that, I went and met with this guy who was the manager at the Time Warner Center. And
Yeah.
maybe I'm getting him in Dutch by saying that he gave me a tour around, but following him around gave me some insight into Stiller's job and how the staff works together. And Jeff, what do you do for research?
We met with several building managers, somebody at the plaza, someone in various places. Met with people who worked in the buildings. Probably the same stuff you did.
And what we got out of the employees really is one of the things that I got, and I think Jeff, I think it was when you were with me, Jeff, is the guy said, one of the employees, I said, well, what are you thinking when you're interacting with these rich people, with these residents? And what they say is we're only thinking about what our bonus is going to be for Christmas. And what's one of the things that they always say to you? What's the common thing that they always say to you? And one of the doormen says they always say they were just like us in the past. They grew up in Queens, working class family. They always try to make themselves relatable. And
most of the stories they told me ended in nudity. There was some like we walked in on them, they were naked, or they were locked out naked. There's a lot of naked stories that we couldn't use.
None of which were shot.
Which we should have done that. Jesus.
Jeff and I sort of rehearsed them.
Yeah. I saw that footage and I decided.
What I'm most proud of the movie, which was really the initial instinct of Ted, initially was that we wanted to spend the time like an old-fashioned heist movie, like a 70s kind of heist, where you spent the first 30 minutes introducing the characters. There wasn't any huge set pieces. There wasn't any huge comedic set pieces. It was like, okay, let's spend. And I think that scared the studio a little bit, and they were kind of always saying to me, pull the heist up, pull the heist up, pull the heist up. But I love this movie because I love the fact that not only are we spending the first 30, 40 minutes introducing the characters, which Jeff was very supportive of when he came in on the project, but we also, put dramatic scenes in this movie because of the subject matter that would never have existed in Oceans, right? There are scenes in this movie that
you have non-criminals doing criminal activity as the main action of the movie. Therefore, you have to get them there, and therefore you have to motivate them.
Right.
You've got to introduce them and then get them there. So that takes a little extra time, both in setting up your villain and also getting them emotionally to a place where they're going to risk life and limb for this cause.
Okay? And I'm sure this will all be cleared up tomorrow.
Can I ask you something, Mr. K?
Yeah.
Did he get your money too?
Yeah. Odessa.
For the record?
Oh, you know what I want to know? I'm dying to know. Jeff always does this and always tells me afterwards, but I want to tell him for the commentary. Which names in the movie are your relatives? Okay, and you too. Who are the characters that are in the movie?
Mr. Simon, that's my father-in-law.
Yeah,
the
name, Mr. Simon.
Yeah, they mention in the movie they mention my son Jonah. The Littmans are mentioned. My aunt. Snoopy was a tribute to my sister-in-law's mother had just passed away, and she had a room in her house that's a Snoopy room. She's obsessed with Snoopy, and so I went to the funeral. Right before I came to see you in New York, and I was in her house and in her Snoopy room, and then I had to fly that night from the funeral to New York to meet with you and talk about the third act and how we're going to fix the third act. And I pitched, I think that night, we should bring in Snoopy and we'll go on Snoopy as a funny thing, and so, and so everyone in Kentucky who went to the movie, they're all coming out, they're all sobbing.
Oh my God.
Because every time they see Snoopy in Lexington, Kentucky, they're all thinking of Barbara.
Oh my God. And how about you, Ted? Any name? Do you use names?
Leone's name is...
Whose name?
Taya Leone characters. She's Claire Denham. My godson is Peter Denham. What are the other ones? Fitzhugh is somebody I knew growing up. It was just a great name that I've been waiting to use. Devereaux is an homage to the actor who played the young chauffeur in Die Hard.
Oh my God.
Devereaux White, I think. And
the young black.
And I changed Alan Alda's name to Shaw because Robert Shaw was my favorite villain ever. So I just thought it would be easier to write if I was picturing him.
Right. And I took something. I stole a few things out of Die Hard. The shot in the elevator that goes past Eddie. That is bitten exactly out of the first Die Hard. I shot the sequence and I thought, wow, this isn't very dynamic. And then one night I'm just watching Die Hard and I was like, oh my God, what a missed opportunity. Of course, John McTiernan, great director, and I was like, God, I don't think I really created anything dynamic enough, and I literally created.
You came in, you said, put this shot from Die Hard in here, just put it in here, and we'll put Eddie's face there instead of Bruce's.
So I bit that right out of Die Hard.
Ted, how did you come up with the car being in someone's apartment, that whole idea?
It's part of trying to figure out the heist, which is...
Are you sure I didn't tell you that Nick Cage had his Ferrari in his living room at his house?
Totally might have, and...
Okay.
He's been taking credit for this for 3 months. I'm so happy to hear
That's okay, but he might have come up with it anyway, so go ahead.
I'm going to take credit for Snoopy in a minute. Just building the heist is, okay, because heisting of just a tower is not necessarily unique for a heist movie because... there've been not only has there been Die Hard, but you're trying to sort of stack the deck against your heroes of making it difficult, obstacles and so forth. And so one was have the tenant be under FBI arrest and house arrest, so he can't leave. So how do you get around that? And two, what's the most unwieldy object to get from the 70th floor of an apartment building? And when I went on this tour, there were some apartments that had some rather enormous installations that you can't imagine how they get them up into the apartment in the first place. And so then I think they were kicking around. Was there some big what's some big piece that would would be difficult to move and would be worth stealing? And that's where we landed on the car, and it may have come from Nick Cage or.
I remember you called me. I wasn't working on the movie. This was years ago, and we were just talking. Ted and I are non-social friends, and he called me one day and said. I said, what are you working on? He goes, I'm trying to figure out how to get a car out of a building. I said, well, what are you working on? What is it? And he told me. And so we were on the phone for a few minutes, we were, I was talking about it, and I had no idea that I would ever even work on this movie. But the thought of being a writer, and you're sitting there going, okay, now I have a car, how do you get out of a building, is not easy.
Was it your idea to make it Steve McQueen's car?
No, it was Winston Churchill's car in my draft. I think it was Steve McQueen's and yours.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is I think really hurt the film.
Well, Steve McQueen's 1963 250 GT Lusso was actually chestnut brown.
Well, yes, and we knew that, and I knew that, and then what I did was I had a model of it, and I hung it on the model of the building, and my cinematographer Dante comes over, who's a Ferrari aficionado, goes, Brett, brown against black, it doesn't work. You can't do it. Make it red. And I go, are you sure? But then it's not Steve McQueen. Yes, but it could have been painted. So what? So yes, we knew it was the exact model of Steve McQueen's car.
And so you have the car, though, I hear? Is that a rumor?
I have the one.
He has one of the two used for the film.
Yeah, it only cost me $200,000.
And and in the end, it's really not Steve McQueen's car. So
exactly, that would be $10 million actually.
Right. Well, it sold in 2007 for $2.3 million.
Oh, really? In 2004, so it's worth at least 10 right now. There's a lot of. Let me point out some of the holes for people which they think they're clever, and I already noticed. For instance, if they have Francis Bacon's, they have Basquiat's, they have paintings in there worth $250 million. Giacometti's, okay, who my great friend Larry Gagosian and Tony Shafrazi both helped me, consulted with me on, and helped me pick the right pieces by these artists that I was fans of. And so why wouldn't they just steal a painting? And I justified it by saying you can't sell a painting, a master painting.
Might not be art aficionados.
Yeah, they don't know. Well, they knew it was expensive. Some of the other, let's point out some of the other holes in the movie. Flaws, yeah. Like you know them all because you.
I know them all, but it's better for people to discover them themselves.
Are you sure?
I'm just going to point out things that Casey does that I don't approve of in the movie. This shot of Casey should have been cut. He should be out of this scene. Casey out. It ruins it.
I'll point out one thing in this scene that's not a flaw, but it doesn't exist in the scene anymore. When you shot this scene, Lester was watching the Cosby. Fat Albert.
No, Basketball Jones.
Oh well, it's Fat Albert.
Oh, Fat Albert. Okay,
yeah, it's Fat Albert. but we didn't use it.
How did you
'cause
find the actor who played Lester?
Well, my whole methodology in casting is if I can't find an actor out of LA, go to the theater in New York, because the best actors, in my experience, are theater actors. I found Ken Leung for the villain in Rush Hour. I couldn't find one Asian actor who can pull it off in LA. You know, even I was looking in Asia, and then I said, okay, I went to the theater, and he walked in, and everyone was overacting and screaming, "I got a bomb!" And he comes in and goes, "I'm gonna blow you up." And it was like the most subtle, brilliant performance. And I put him in a bunch of movies. Unfortunately, he wasn't available to be in this movie. I would have put him in this movie. But no, I always go to the theater. And Lester, Stephen Henderson is a great stage actor. He was in Fences with Denzel.
Hey, Charlie. Josh. Hey. Yeah. So, they're evicting me this morning.
Of course, Matthew Broderick. Grew up loving. And
Has he done theater ever, Joe?
Yeah, Matthew Broderick's a theater actor.
Oh, Jesus. The things you learned during
Matthew Broderick worked in Jeff's movie in his
Kidding.
directorial debut, and they worked together. And Jeff is actually the one who recommended Matthew to me, and said, "You got to get Matthew Broderick."
And now he's not speaking to me.
And who else are theater actors? Nina Arianda, who was in the Woody Allen movie and is a great stage actress. Plays the Russian.
Tony nominated for Born Yesterday, I think.
Oh, really?
Last year, yeah.
Yeah.
She plays Miss Ivanko.
Miss Ivanko, she's fantastic. That's
And Miss Rose, isn't she in old New York? Been there, done
Yes.
all those.
She was. I knew her from Dog Day Afternoon. I recognized her when she walked in. She was in Dog Day Afternoon, and I'm such a big fan of hers.
Josh, Charlie, Enrique, how you doing?
I was at Labor Day party this year, Mr. Shaw.
I have to say, visual effects. I want to go back to just the visual effects. Like this shot right here was one of my favorite shots. Out the window, we're on a stage. It's green screen, but it's probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Even though I've had the Golden Gate Bridge, swinging and stuff. This stuff, because it has to look real. It has to be. It's harder to make something look completely real than to take something, and it's
Was
just.
there any other, idea to any other way to shoot this?
I wanted to shoot it in the real apartment. We had a shell of the real apartment that was empty. We could have built it out. And Dante said, yeah, but as you're shooting throughout the day, the light's changing. You can't.
The weather will change
the
on
weather,
day after day. You could never get a match.
You can never match it. So it's a must. And Roman Polanski did it brilliantly in Ghost Rider. And I when I saw the movie, I thought it was, it looked completely real. And I just think he did a brilliant job. And he went through the same kind of trials and tribulations where it was just very difficult to kind of get it right. And it's the hardest thing I've ever done visual effects wise. Literally what you would think would be the simplest thing. But we photographed the plates, we photographed everything, and it was just...
Was Alda your first choice, or how did you...
No, my first... Well, not that it wasn't my first choice. I met with...
Well phrased, Jeff.
I met with Robert Redford. And
I was just trying to get him to tell the story.
Okay,
I'm trying to lead him to Redford. I want to hear about Redford.
I sat with Redford, and I'm such a big fan of Redford, and I sent him over the script. Of course, he passed. And Alda was the next person I went to. And it wasn't that I wasn't thinking of Alda. It wasn't a choice. I just thought I definitely wanted somebody who wasn't obviously a villain. Mm-hmm. And Redford is a very charming guy. Of course, we love him in the movie with Woody Harrelson. And
Decent Proposal.
In Decent Proposal. He was so charming and brilliant. I wanted a guy that you didn't see the first time you saw him, you were like, oh, villain, Let's
go. Josh, aren't you forgetting something? My breakfast order.
Do you understand the shitstorm that can be brought down on this building? Sure.
The door says M. Simon, so what is his first name?
Well, it's actually his father, so Melvin.
You know damn well I got murdered by that son of a bitch, but a line has been crossed, and a gang of vigilantes will not be tolerated at the tower.
Judd Hirsch, I grew up, I was just such a big fan of Judd, and I just wanted the New York actors, guys that you believe, were just belonged in a film in New York,
Meanwhile, the rest of you, I want you out of the building right now.
Love that
I did a count once. Judd Hirsch is a Tony winner. Alda's won a Tony and an Oscar nominated. Like the amount of Broderick's won a Tony. You actually have a lot of
Tony winners in here, and I actually have. I think it's 5 film directors. Ben Stiller directed a movie. Alan Alda directed a movie.
Casey Affleck.
Casey Affleck directed a movie. Matthew Broderick directed a movie.
You said that.
Did I? No.
What did you do? Eddie, Ben, Casey, Matthew.
And
Alda.
don't forget
Alda, yeah.
5 film directors.
No, there's one more.
Who?
In the lobby in the first scene.
Robert Downey Sr.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Robert Downey Sr.'s in the movie.
A
He
prince.
directed the movie. Yeah. And
I was going to ask about that.
Putney Swope is one of my. For those of you who saw the movie at the end and saw Prince come up next to Robert Downey Sr., one of my favorite movies is Putney Swope. And in the movie, when his name comes up next to it in parentheses, it said a prince. If I did that, I would be stoned to death. Even though I feel like a prince, Robert Downey is a prince, and I put him. I followed in what he had done in. Give me some other tidbits here.
I got all kinds of tidbits.
Mark
about
has
it.
a cheat sheet.
I have a cheat sheet about the tower itself.
Let's hear it.
If
It was-
people want to know when it was built,
It was the Gulf and Western.
it used to be the Gulf and Western building. It was built in 1969. It's 679 feet high,
The year I was born, 1969.
and it has 52 floors. Now, Trump bought it, and between 1995 and 97, he stripped it to its skeleton, and rebuilt the Trump International Hotel and Tower as we know it today.
We probably had more meetings about this scene coming up than any other scene.
In the basement. This was probably one of the last scenes we shot, and there was the biggest snowstorm probably in New York history. Were you there on the day? No. We got stuck literally there, and getting out of there was like going to war. I'm not kidding. Cars.
Everybody on the crew said it was the worst night on the entire film.
Well, worst
Everybody was
weather night.
miserable. Well, they were miserable because they were outside.
Oh, it was such a small bar. The whole crew had to stand outside, and there was only a few people inside. This was the bar actually where they shot Goodfellas, where Joe Pesci killed the guy in the bar.
Okay.
This was the actual bar. And Christy, we were looking. I wanted to shoot at Elaine's, and then after several discussions, we thought, let's just go to Queens.
Yeah.
Make it more authentic, and it's a Queens bar.
But there was a big discussion about how drunk they should be. Should they be drunk? Should they really get drunk? Should they drink? It was
so what Brett did was he shot so many takes of them at various degrees of drunkenness. I think there's at least 10 hours of dailies for this scene right here where they're drunk.
Shot over 2 days, though, or 3 days.
I don't know how long it took you to shout, but it took forever to look at all the footage.
Tuesday.
By the way, that laugh that Taya does there, it's based on Woody Woodpecker, she told me. She wanted a unique laugh for Claire Dunham, and so she was channeling Woody Woodpecker.
Ted?
I recuse myself from this conversation.
Yeah, and I was very proud of how the scene came out, and it was definitely, we probably did more versions, like Jeff said, or variations of this scene than any scene in the entire movie. I mean, we were just writing, trying to get the right tone. It was maybe 4 times longer. It was, it was all over the place. But I think when you have 2 great actors, when you have Ben Stiller and Téa Leoni, who have worked together in the past, have great chemistry, and that's the thing. That's something that I don't create, that nobody can create. Either the actors have chemistry or they don't have chemistry. Mm-hmm. And I wanted an FBI agent who you believe was an FBI agent. So many movies I see where they get the hot young chick to be the FBI agent, and you never buy it. I wanted somebody with some who can be intimidating, who's realistic, and believable as an FBI agent. And Taya was definitely, I think, a great choice.
If we get lucky, maybe you can get lucky.
This should be in the Flirting with Disaster DVD 2-pack. We have it's the reunion.
Well,
of Stiller
ironically, there's a movie
and
for those of you who don't know. Alan Alda, Ben Stiller, and Téa Leoni were all in a movie together many years ago. Was it 15 years ago? I think about 15 years ago, called Flirting with Disaster, which I thought was a fantastic film. Very kind of Woody Allen-esque type movie. Don't you agree?
Yeah.
Never see you coming. I gotta pee. Oh, I gotta go.
Whoa, you can't drive.
I'm gonna get a crab.
Crab?
Listen, you violated 3 federal laws when you beat up Shaw's Ferrari.
So what?
So a lot of guys down at the bureau want to buy you a drink.
The morning that you were shooting this, I begged you to please go out and find a pitchfork.
This was Mark's idea. Oh my God,
Mark.
the pitchfork. Storming the castle. I don't know where you got that idea from, but that pitchfork that's right here that
That's
he pulls.
from The Princess Bride.
Yeah, exactly. This pitchfork right here was Mark's idea. He begged me. I'm like, leave me alone about the damn pitchfork, And I did it, and Mark was happy. Mark and I have a great relationship because Mark does not lie to me. He tells me when I mess up. He tells me when I suck. He tells me when I'm. He doesn't tell me very much when I do a good job, which is not, is not helpful when I'm not, don't have the time and I'm too exhausted to be watching dailies. It'd be nice to get a call once in a while. Brett, you did good yesterday.
Oh, I do that.
I go in blind, but he definitely points out every mistake that I make as I go along, and it's very helpful to surround yourself, future filmmakers out there, surround yourself with people that aren't going to kiss your ass and point out your mistakes and your flaws, and I think it helps in doing good work. And
you've worked with a lot of the same people. Your first AD, how many movies has Jamie
every
done?
movie I've ever done,
Freitag.
there's only 3 people who have kind of been there from the beginning, and it's my AD, Jamie, Mark Helfrich, and who else?
I think that's it.
I think that's it. But many people have worked on many movies. My cinematographer has done many movies with me. You've done many movies. We've collaborated many times together. Jeff wrote Rush Hour 2. Actually, rewrote Rush Hour 1, even though he didn't get credit, which is a travesty. And wrote Rush Hour 2, Rush Hour 3. Did some work on After the Sunset, right? Some writing.
Did a little work on X-Men.
On X-Men. He's written scenes on mostly all my movies, except Family Man, which was just, I just showed you the movie when I finished it.
Yeah, I still have some ideas, by the way.
Can we put that on for a while?
Thinking of becoming a male prostitute.
I think I might have a better idea.
So how much, I want to just mention how much footage you actually shot for this movie.
Over 1 million.
You shot over 1 million. You shot 1,005,500 feet of film.
Really?
Which comes to 186 hours and 10 minutes of
Well, you're
footage.
you're a good editor.
So that's how much footage.
It's longer than Showa.
Oh. For every minute of the film, I calculated an hour and 44. No, wait, an hour and 53 minutes for every minute of film to sift through.
It's not bad.
That ratio is astronomical. It's like 113 to 1.
Is this any different than any other film I've made?
Yes, I mean this is a lot of footage. And didn't Kodak throw a party when you went over 1 million feet?
No, but I sent the assistant cameraman to Fiji because we shot film, not digital, by the way. So probably the last film shot on film. I could not let go of the film, and the guy's fingers were bleeding at the end of every day. So at the end, at the wrap party, I gave him a vacation to Fiji.
2003 shore remodel.
Beautiful.
I got a gift certificate to the Olive Garden in Burbank.
And the nickname Bloody Fingers, but not actual.
What else, Mark? Give us some good tidbits.
What else? What can we say?
So this Ben's apartment here was a set. We built this set. Every set that existed, we definitely went to look at least 10 real locations. I went to real apartments, look at the structure. This is kind of a railroad apartment. The kitchen, the dining room was one room. And Christy's brilliant. I mean, Christy makes things look so real. And of course, with Dante's lighting and his cinematography, this movie, the approach was to shoot it like a dramatic movie, not to shoot it like a comedy. And where the comedy came from the characters. And this, by the way, there's a line in here that was not in the first cut that we put in later, which was one of the biggest laughs in the movie, where he says,
now we're undefeatable.
Now we're undefeatable, which was a huge laugh here. And, it's great when you get dramatic actors who are funny,
And they're allowed to ad-lib.
Yeah.
I mean, that was an ad-lib line. There's a lot of ad-lib lines in the movie.
Jeff and I actually called Casey and said, "Say this
Right.
privately." So nothing.
But I always make them say what's on the page. It's not like they come in ad-libbing. The way I like to work is I make them say every single word that's written, because I do think that Jeff and Ted, are great writers and know how to write the way people speak. And I want them to say it, and I want to understand, because it's not a simple story. It's a lot of complexities and a lot of details that need to be said. If you let an actor just come in and start improvising from the first word, which incidentally Eddie wanted to say exactly what was on the page, and then when I twisted his arm, he would ad-lib. He loved every word that was written, and so did Ben. So some of the other actors wanted to try to find their moments, but I made them stick to what was on the page.
That way you have options. You have what's written and you have...
exactly. I have what's written, so I have the story, and then I have some extra stuff.
Who's your prison guard?
The prison guard
face is phenomenal.
was in Beverly Hills Cop. He was the guy selling cigarettes.
Okay.
In the opening of Beverly Hills Cop.
Right. Okay, because that face is terrific, and I didn't know if he was somebody you knew before.
Who came up with the idea for the Nova?
I think that was me.
Yeah, the Nova line about that was hysterical. And
If I spoke Spanish, I probably would.
and this, of course, a lot of people wrote, "Oh, French Connection." Yes, I wanted to go and shoot underneath the train where the French Connection. There's one shot that I couldn't do. And
That was with the child being.
yeah, we
wheeled
didn't
out in
want to
front of the
want to
car.
bite it exactly, but I did want to shoot in the same type of location underneath there, and it was a lot of fun.
I remember because this was Eddie's first day of shooting, and I was riding around in a van listening to them do their first day. And what was interesting to me was not the scene is really funny, but when they were off camera, just the two of them talking was some of the funniest stuff I've ever heard.
I think we got to get those tapes because they were
just amazing.
and we were singing songs. Remember,
Yeah.
we were singing songs and telling
talking
stories.
about Michael Jackson, and I mean,
Yeah.
it's just really that was probably the highlight for me of the whole shoot was listening to them just talk.
Yeah, them. I wasn't talking.
Well, you were talking too.
Yeah, all of us.
Three of
talking.
you
Yeah, the
talking.
three of us. Because I'm a faceless voice. I have a microphone in the car, and I'm directing them. I wasn't hiding in the back seat, by the way. For those of you who know how we do this, we tow the car, and then I kind of have a microphone, and I'm talking to them as they're doing it. And we did a lot of takes, and it was one of the greatest days of my life. First day shooting Eddie Murphy, and Ben Stiller together, and it was like that's when I had to pinch myself. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, everybody there on the set, it was palpable. It was like shooting Eddie Murphy. Eddie's my hero since I was a kid. I mean, I watched every single movie of his, and I was such a big fan. So to actually get to direct him and shoot him on this day was actually one of the greatest days of
And
my
it was a real joy to get this footage too, and just take after take classic Eddie stuff.
Yeah.
So do you ever get nervous, Brett, before a day of shooting? Any kind of shooting?
No, I get excited. I race to the set. And when I had this morning, I'll never forget. I woke up this morning. I woke up early. I couldn't barely sleep. I was so excited. And it wasn't because I was nervous. It was I was excited to put the camera on him and to line it up and to just direct him. And I didn't know what it was going to be like. And he because we have a friendship, we he was great. He was looking for my direction. There's a huge misunderstanding of or what's the word, fallacy of what people think big stars. The bigger the star, the more they want to be directed, the more they want to be guided, because they're not in every scene necessarily, and they want to know where you're coming from and where you're going, and they want to partner, they want to bounce ideas off of somebody. And people think, oh, the bigger the actor, the more they're just going to just do it on their own. You can't direct it. You can't make a great movie or have a performance that's shaped, that's consistent, that is good, I believe, when an actor is just kind of directing himself and kind of saying whatever he wants. There's got to be some collaboration between the director, and that's why I was able to get in the edit room with Mark and shape a performance. And I feel, I did that with everybody. My job was really to protect all these other smaller characters and make sure that they were saying, they had their moments too. It wasn't just about Eddie and Ben, which in most of these movies, it's all about the two stars, and everyone else gets to kind of drive the plot somehow or fill in the blanks,
I think all the other actors have their moments and have some of the funniest lines in the film.
Yeah, and that was what's so cool about Eddie and Ben. They were cool enough to take a back seat and let Eddie loved it when Michael Pena was funny. Eddie loved it when Matthew was funny. Eddie loved it when other characters had their moments. They loved it. He really, really loved it.
And this gold lighting, I love this. The way this whole mall is like a big gold bar.
Yeah.
You said that Eddie has a pretty encyclopedic knowledge of film.
Oh my God! Any movie I would mention, we would talk about. He would do lines from the movie. I mean, not only encyclopedic knowledge about who's in the movie, the names of the actors, but
except Doberman Gang, he didn't know that one.
But everybody who's in the movie. I mean, and the lines. Like literally, he could run lines. It doesn't matter how far back you go to any era of films. He just knows every single movie. He's a movie buff and a movie fan.
This is a part of our Sexy Little Things collection.
So this is obviously a mall somewhere.
This is a mall in Queens, the
I think
Queens
it is.
Mall. This is the Queens Mall, in the actual Victoria's Secret store.
In the early AM, right? When the mall was closed.
Didn't
you have to
Yeah,
shoot
I
during-
think you were, because my one casting contribution, which you were
It
very
was-
kindly,
Yes,
my
I-
ninth grade math teacher is a Broadway actor now, and I asked Brett to
Right
read
here.
him,
This
and
guy
here
right
he
here.
is,
He
Kevin
was
Pariseau.
fantastic.
And he said he texted me when he wrapped at 4 a.m. or whatever, like because you were shooting after
Yeah.
hours this play. So thank you
Yes.
for using this.
He was
gentleman.
fantastic. I love like I said, most of the people that are in this movie are from the theater, and I called up Ted. I said I need a theater actor because to me, someone who has one line in this movie is as important as somebody who has a huge part. It can easily take you out of the movie.
Who came up with this idea of Casey eating the?
I think Casey did.
Really?
Casey did. We didn't, you know. That's the thing. I feel like the actors feel very safe with me and free, and that's where good ideas come from. Is when you feel comfortable, you feel like you can do anything, nothing stupid. I don't make them feel stupid. I make them feel like, okay, we're stuck. Let's try to do something great, and you know, everyone steps up to the challenge. I mean, the hardest thing that we had to figure out really was the third act, which is how are we going to get in the building, and we were just thinking of coming up with the most complicated things, and you just threw out the Snoopy thing, and it was just such a simple, and I did it as a oneer, and it was just such a simple kind of idea, and sometimes the simplest ideas is really what works. Here, this from this moment on, this is when the movie I think really kicks in. And
you have your team together, yeah.
And we got the guys together, and they have such great chemistry, and some of the funniest stuff in the movie, and it was fun shooting it, and I always felt like we were missing something, like, oh shit, should we do a training sequence, because this is a scene that you've seen, these scenes coming up are scenes that you've seen in every heist movie, right? The preparation, the planning, but it was so simple and so well written, that I think the audience is with these characters no matter at this point, because we spent the time in the beginning of the movie introducing these characters, getting to know these characters, and at this point in the movie, when they're on this roof and they're having that banter back and forth, the audience is 100% with them. Doesn't matter what they said.
You go from hot to cold, just like that. You have to be ready to adapt to the situation. You have to be able to think on your feet. I was on a job a few days ago where my homie got shot in the face.
He's kidding, right?
Get shot in the head, it's over.
If you get shot in your head, it's over. If you get shot in your face, the bullet will go in your cheek, then come out the other
This
side.
is fake snow, by the way, and I remember being there on the set, watching you guys do this, and all I was interested in was the snow, because as a writer you don't get out much, so you're fascinated by this and how's it going to look on film, and then when you actually see it, it just looks great.
Yeah, I have a lot of experience with snow with The Family Man, and there's different ways to do it, different approaches, how you blow the snow, so I had some experience, and some of it is digital snow and some of it is real snow that we actually blew into the shot, but it's about layering, different layers, different levels of snow. This direction is the fake snow, which is the digital snow, and the other direction is the snow that we blew. Because you really can't control the wind, even with fans and stuff.
2 entrance points and rotating shifts. Once inside, we'll be faced with 4 security officers who monitor a bank of 12 internal cameras, as well as 2 floating security guards who vary the patrol route each day. If we make it through all of that, we still have to get through this gauntlet of employees to get to the elevators. Questions?
Yeah. Who's that girl in the red dress? She got the kind of titties I like to play with.
That's Marianne from sales. She's a lesbian.
Jeff, what's your experience like with lesbians?
Well,
you seem to write about them very well.
I have no experience with a gauntlet of lesbians.
Yeah.
Like anyone I've
Have you seen the movie The Gauntlet? Clint Eastwood, Sandra Bullock?
Which has one of my favorite lesbian scenes in history.
Which is another, I think, inspiration for this movie, was that scene.
I saw that scene when I was a kid. A friend of mine, his parents took us to it. And it was, I don't know why you take like an 11-year-old kid or whatever it was, or 12, to see that movie. I don't know why my parents allowed it, but that scene in that movie had a huge effect on my life. Because it's the first really, intense lesbian sequence.
I saw Deliverance with my father when I was 9. That left a mark. Strange childhood movie-going experiences for you, Mark?
Just Performance is my favorite film. And when I went into that film and saw everything that a film needs to have, sex, drugs, rock and roll, I walked out and my life was changed. What changed your life, Brett?
The film that changed my life? I rather withhold the film.
We're not talking about the video.
Where's this restaurant?
This is actually across from our building, from our tower. It's a real restaurant that's in a museum building, with these great windows, and they were actually watching the tower. I like putting actors whenever possible in real locations. It just helps. They're referring to the building, they're watching the building. It just makes it all.
And we were going to tie it into an ending that was going to exist.
That'll be on the DVD, a scene that we didn't end up using, which is an ending
one of the alternate endings on this DVD. This movie had several endings. It had like 4 endings, so we chopped a couple of them off.
Yes.
Hey, man, how is this supposed to be right if you made it out of Legos?
Well, the dimensions are completely accurate.
And who's this little niglet? Webster? Man, you might as well use Lincoln Logs or Tinker Toys.
I got your ski caps.
What? No. Ski masks. Masks.
Yeah, but the guy said that these are the warmest ever made. With pom-poms? You serious?
You're such an idiot. I need a mask. It's got to cover your face.
Josh, let's say we get
Maybe
the money.
now's a
and
good
we
time
get
to talk about the music.
Yeah, I have only worked with 3 different composers in my entire career. Lalo Schifrin, who had done most of my scores, Danny Elfman, who I'd worked with twice before, and John Powell, who did X-Men for me. And I'd never worked with, and I got, I was worried because none of those guys were available, and I kind of farmed out to a bunch of composers. I wanted to see who can come up with the main theme, because I knew
We gave them the opening title sequence.
I gave them the opening title sequence and said, come out, see if you can come up with a main theme. And I went to a bunch of different composers. And I walked into Christoph Beck's studio, and he played me his theme. And from the first note, from the bass line, I knew that this was the guy. And, I'm incredibly proud of the score. It's inspired by the 70s, but then again, it's not retro. It doesn't feel dated. It's definitely contemporary. It's hip. It's cool. I mean, I remember playing him stuff like theme from Shaft or stuff from Sly and the Family Stone or stuff from Curtis Mayfield just for inspiration, because he was a very white guy, but somehow got really
He totally got it from the get-go. I mean, that the
From the
main
first-
theme of the film is the demo that he did for us.
And I like doing score that has a lot of leitmotifs that repeats themselves over and over again in different variations, incarnations. And he just nailed it. And that theme, like I said, once I heard it, I knew he was the right guy for the job. And I'm incredibly proud of the score. Like I said, I think it's
great.
It's an incredible score, and he got the right emotionality and the humor and the pathos and the emotion, and just never kind of deviates, and it's consistent throughout. So,
do you think about music when you're shooting at all, or no?
Yeah, I was taking him to Pelham 123. I'm in New York. It's a movie that's inspiring me. I was thinking of that theme over and over again, and he came up, and I said, who is going to be able to top this? Should I do what Quentin did and just license some old scores that I love, New York Heist scores, and just edit them together and try to piece it together? And I said, how is somebody going to top this? And when I heard Christoph Beck's score, I said, oh my God, this guy just got it. He just got it. He did something that's unique, that stands on its own, and hopefully will be to somebody 20 years from now what Pelham was to me when I was a kid. Some kid's going to hear this and become a filmmaker and say, that Tower Heist had that score, and hopefully it'll be inspiring. And he definitely inspired
What
me.
I have to do, I will find a way to pay you back for everything that's been done.
Good, because I know how difficult it must be for you to lose a service job like this at your age. And one day when all this is ancient history, I hope you can come back. Maybe not as a building manager at first, but somewhere where you can start over, earn our trust. A doorman, for instance.
I got to say, working with Alan Alda was one of the greatest experiences of my life. He put so much thought into his character, and there was the greatest dialogue with him about his character, about his choices, about what he would do and not do, at what point, where he was at psychologically, what he was thinking, what he was feeling, what he felt towards the other characters, towards Téa Leoni's character, towards Ben Stiller's character. And he just, it literally was between every take, and it wasn't tiring. A lot of time I get kind of annoyed when an actor wants to talk too much about his character and overthink it. And it was just such a joy collaborating with him. And he was a great villain because he was just totally believable, likable, a guy you love, a villain that you could see he's an MFer, but he has total humanity. You saw the humanity in the character, in the guy, but then he's such a badass.
I think I became a writer because of MASH. I mean, I was kind of, believe it or not, a loser, and would come home every day from school and watch 3 or 4 episodes of MASH that were in reruns. So I'd watch 2 on the local station, and then we'd get a San Diego feed that was on Channel 8, so I'd watch at least 3 episodes. And then we had a huge MASH party when the final MASH came, and I wore a MASH t-shirt to my high school graduation. I had issues.
Who's your favorite MASH character?
I would say Klinger or Radar were two of my favorites.
Klinger, just guessing by the way you're dressed today.
Thank you.
Do you always wear that cap? Oh wait, that's a Radar joke. We can talk about MASH for the rest, but let's move on. Let's go back to the movie. But I do like Captain Flag. He had the best one-liners. Don't play dumb with me, because I'll beat you at that game every time.
I usually break into strong boxes. You never said it was a real safe made out of steel.
Going after $20 million, where do you think it'd be, wood?
What kind of thief can't open a safe?
Well, generally, I rob balconies.
Balconies? Like a cat burglar?
That way I never get charged with breaking and entering. And I never steal nothing over $1,000, because in New York, that shit is a felony.
What do you get, like potted plants?
No, bitch, I don't be stealing no potted plants. I steal mostly satellite dishes. A friend of mine will be hooking up illegal DirecTV.
Hey, can your friend hook me up?
No.
This is a bunch of horse shit. Your thief isn't even a thief.
Hang on a sec. You can figure this out, right?
No, I can't figure this out. I'm serious. You have to find an actual safe cracker.
Where am I gonna find a safe cracker?
I don't know. You have to start thinking outside the box. Should you have to find somebody with some safe cracking history? Think.
So, Odessa, I think we should address the elephant in the room.
What the hell you just called me?
No. I'm talking about the anger you have for me, how you blame me for losing the pension, which is the last thing I ever wanted to happen.
I know you're a good man, Mr. K, even though you ruined my life.
Which is why I invited you here.
I got to talk about Gabourey Sidibe. She is, I mean, what a surprise. What a pleasant surprise. And, you know, in the next scene coming up where, I mean, it was a shot, it was a scene where I think Mark called me and said, I think you should show her opening a safe, showing Eddie's character, Slide, how to open the safe.
Yeah, the genesis of it was later on in the film, there's a scene where Ben says, you know, because Slide has been spending so much time with Odessa, he thinks he can open the safe.
He thinks he can open the safe. So
I said, you gotta shoot a scene with the two of them in a safe and have her.
So there was no dialogue written, basically, and I called up Jeff and I said, Jeff, can you give me a few lines here or something? But Eddie was resistant. He was like, oh, let her just show me how to open the safe. I don't need to say anything. And of course, Dante lit it in a very kind of sexy way, you know, kind of beautiful lighting, moody, backlit, you know, and they're sitting there against the safe. And I was just doing these drifting in shots. His camera was just drifting in. And I was saying to myself, God, what a missed opportunity here. So I lean over to Gabourey and I say, Gabby, I said, flirt with Eddie. And she's like, what? In her face, she got so nervous because she's probably been in love with Eddie since she was 12 years old. And she was somewhat intimidated by him. And she goes, are you sure he's not going to get mad? I go, no, he's not going to get mad. And all of a sudden she starts flirting with him. And it just, and then he stays in character. And she goes, are you married? And he's like, why? What's up? You know, no, what's up? And he just, it goes really far. And is it on the DVD, Mark?
Yeah, there's some extra stuff on the DVD outtakes. But yeah, that serves the purpose not only for the story about how Slide could open the safe, but it also serves the purpose of, you know, she's looking for a husband.
And it's one of the funniest scenes in the movie. And I think Jeff did give me some of the lines that I think I fed to her. Is there something that do you remember writing something?
Of course.
Yeah. but basically it was an improv scene, and I didn't tell Eddie that she was going to say anything, and Eddie stayed in character. And it was one of the funniest scenes in the movie. And here it is, right here.
You gotta find the entry point. You gotta use your fingers.
I had heard Howard Stern talking. I don't know if you've heard of that show, the Howard Stern show, but he was talking about how after Precious that she would have trouble finding work.
Yeah.
And so I thought it would be fun to write specifically for her, and so that character was essentially always meant for her to play.
Yeah.
If my recollection's correct, and it usually is, she came to audition and volunteered the Jamaican accent. And that was the one day I spent with you, and she when she came in, I think
she said she could do a Jamaican accent.
Right.
I think. Well, I said, what accent? Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And then she was kind of saying, well, maybe I shouldn't do it. And I said, go for it. What do you got to lose? Let's.
Yeah, I remember her name.
And she was great. She did a great job. We had the
we
weirdest
had a read through for the script.
The weirdest thing was having a white vocal coach feeding her off-camera lines with the Jamaican accent. It was like the most surreal visual I've ever seen. Some white guy who was an expert in the Jamaican slang or twang or whatever you call it.
Alda also wanted to do it as Jamaican. It didn't play.
Yeah, at the read-through of the script before shooting began, like weeks before shooting began, she did the accent, and the whole room cracked up, so you knew it was going to work.
Josh, you need to get yourself a lawyer. Take care.
Great news, it worked.
We're good for
So
Thanksgiving.
this is where the heist, the beginning, I would say, of the heist right here, this next shot.
Smash cut.
The smash cut here.
So it's screenwriting term, Jeff. I'll explain it later.
Yeah, this Thanksgiving Day parade, you shot footage of last year's actual Thanksgiving Day parade.
Yes, I shot the actual Thanksgiving Day parade, and then we went and recreated pieces of it with the actor.
How many cameras did you use?
Well, I remember having this big meeting with the city, with the police commissioner, with all this, and they were like, "We can't do this." And how many cameras do you need? And I'm like, 22. And I just threw out a number, and we had like 22 cameras, literally in various positions, shooting various parts of the parade, and not knowing what we were gonna need, but shooting it, knowing some shots like from the roof, looking down, plates of the parade going by, and just piecing it together and making it feel kind of,
you also
and by the way,
shoot
the
another
studio
parade?
kept asking me, why don't you lose the parade? And I'm like, well, lose the parade.
Yes.
I was adamant about. Oh, I actually shot. I'm sorry.
The St. Patty's Day
I actually
parade.
shot footage of the St. Patty's Day parade the year before because it was supposed to take place at the Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue, on the St. Patty's Day parade, and I think you guys changed it.
Jeff changed it from St. Patty's to Thanksgiving.
To Thanksgiving Day
which
parade.
Again, badly hurt the film.
Yeah.
Even Matt Lauer, his scene was shot on Thanksgiving during the actual parade, but it was shot for this movie.
Start of Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is just moments away. 3 million people.
So all this footage here was footage that was grabbed by my 22 cameras that was just shooting. And then when the actors are in the shots, that was stuff that we recreated parts of the parade.
Remember
Now this is the actual security office in the actual Trump International.
Child in all of us.
Hey, Josh. Here's your sister's phone.
Great.
She's really hot, by the way.
Watch your head, Mr. Shaw.
Where's Slide? He's supposed to be here.
They're on the move.
Well, getting rights to all the characters in
Now that,
close,
by the way,
that was
this is a double, and we put Eddie's head on that double. Eddie was not around that day, and needed the shot of him getting out of the car, and he wasn't available. And we literally
Also, is how much of that is staged, right? Like the extra, are those our extras, or
Yes.
is that actual parade?
Those are our extras.
Okay, so I always thought that it would, like, if you just released Eddie into the
crowd,
you'd have a lot of people looking at Sly.
Exactly.
Which is why it wasn't Eddie. No.
What are we gonna do?
We stick to the plan. We go on Snoopy.
So this is like a huge money shot. All these shots are just, we were, it just brings tremendous production value. And then you tie it in, of course, by putting it on the screen in the background here, and it just, it becomes seamless.
They're even more naked.
Who's that actor?
Juan Carlos Hernandez.
Yeah, that was a great find. Juan Carlos Hernandez came in and auditioned and was just...
He's just got a great face.
Yeah.
Hospital, my water broke. It's happening. Rose, cover for me. I'm having a baby. I'm having a baby. Excuse me. I'm having a baby.
I have another question.
This is a wonder, by the way. This is a wonder.
This is such a great shot. Talk about how it came about.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to do a wonder. I wanted to make it, this was Jeff's idea of going in where Snoopy was the distraction, and I said, let's do it, let's design it, and they were hoping I got it in one. I mean, the city was really against us putting the floats, because you have to take out the stops. I mean, the what do they call it?
Street lights?
Street lights had to come out and everything, and it's very complicated. And they were just like really against me doing this, and I did this as a wonder.
It's a great shot.
And it took how many takes?
I do believe that is the first take. I don't know why you did 10 more after that, but it was
because I was having fun.
Because you could make Snoopy go backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Juan's birthday! Everybody come and sing! Rose, Manuel, come and sing!
I think the idea for the third act was to be extremely low tech and to try not to use, a lot of stuff that real criminals would use. And so, I think it was a conscious decision was to get them upstairs without having them, use suction cups on their feet and climb up the building. And so we had to come up, I think, with ideas that were a little bit simple, but were hard for us to figure out. It took a long time.
It's also the challenge of just doing a heist movie of what hasn't been done before, and also somebody sitting at a computer monitor typing in and bypassing security codes is really dull to watch, and also not in character with these guys.
Be one of the finest units in the building.
I'd love to see it. Can I see it?
This lobby is incredible. This was built for the movie. The lobby of the actual Trump
It's
International
about a
Tower
quarter
is
of the
about the
size.
size of a bedroom.
Yeah.
And this is a magnificent set.
It was a mixture of the Carlisle Hotel, which is one of my favorite lobbies, and several different hotel lobbies. The Pierre and different hotel lobbies where with the different textures and different security offices and the desk and the layout and the floor and the marble and the wood and all these little pieces. I kind of took Christy to my favorite hotel lobbies in Manhattan, and kind of she came up with this incredible design. And that stairway was in a completely different building also.
Oh, speaking of the tower, the pool on the top of the tower does not exist.
Yes, it
that
does not
is
exist.
fake, folks.
That is something that Jeff came up with. That was something. I mean, I had actually done a shot like that in one of my music videos. I don't remember how it came about, but I mean that opening was written by Jeff, starting on his face and pulling up, and then showing the whole city. But the execution of the shot is a shot that I did when I was doing music videos back in the day. I was in Hong Kong doing a music video for this group called Drew Hill for Rush Hour, and I had a shot of someone by the pool. Then you realize the pool is on the roof of a building. Then you realize the roof is on a building that's actually in the center of Hong Kong, and then it dissolved to an aerial shot. So I had practiced figuring out how to do a shot like that.
That's one of those things where you write it and assume they're going to cut it just because it doesn't exist, and it was simply done to, show a rich guy cut to a poor guy in Queens. It was just trying to simplify things. But I always thinking you guys would cut it because, I never thought you'd actually build a swimming pool with the $100
We built the
bill in
swimming
bottom.
pool. It cost hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You sure?
I'm allergic to chocolate. Break out in hives. Can't touch it.
And also, I want to talk about a little bit about the color scheme. I mean, Dante and I discuss the language of the film and talk about, color and whatnot. And we have like kind of a unspoken kind of understanding now. But if you see all of the backdoor stuff, all these areas are kind of somewhat greenish, bluish. And the world of the rich is kind of warm, golden. And it was just, it's a subliminal kind of subtle thing, but it works. See, we're back in the rich place, the gold colors, the rich textures, the rich looks, and we all get together, Christy, myself, Dante, and we kind of go through this. So this is something that is consciously executed but subconsciously hopefully received when someone watches the movie, All these actors kind of knew who their characters were and had their characters really well defined, which is why there's great humorous moments. This is a company, by the way, visual effects company called Phosphine, who did this elevator shaft stuff. We built a few floors of the elevator shaft, and they just extended it and did such a great job. I mean, incredible. I think they have like 8 people working in the company. Small visual effects company.
I remember on the morning that you shot this, I called you up and I said, please have them wear those ski caps from the other scene and just cut holes out in the eyes. That'll be hilarious. And you go, and apparently you liked the idea because then the next day when I got the dailies, it was on there. And I think it's great, of course. But
that was your idea?
It was my idea.
Wow.
I love this set as well. I think it's a great set.
Yeah, there was an apartment that was just bought for like $35 million from Donald Trump on the roof of that actual building, and it was empty. It was some guy from Asia, and it was empty. And we kind of walked around the actual apartment physically and looked at the size and the scope of it, and that's how we came up with the layout of that apartment.
How hard was it to get Eddie to do these stunts?
Really hard, but he went for it. So this was again, obstacles. The money could have just been here in the safe. It could have just been okay, we got it. But we just kept putting obstacles in front of these guys, and then the twists and turns of Eddie showing up, and then Gabby shows up and to get takes Eddie out of the way, and then it just kept kind of going and going.
So here's one thing that I wrote that didn't make a lick of sense when I wrote it, and then you changed it a little bit and made it make less sense. Why does a man keep a safe embedded in a wall when he doesn't have access to it and keep it empty? Now, in my draft, no one would put a safe inside a wall without any access to it. In my draft, he did have a computer disk in there, which was like the equivalent of your ledger, where it was all things, so they do get that out of it. But why do you keep a computer disk in a safe that's inaccessible inside of a wall, and then have it empty?
So no one will find it.
I had a bad answer for it.
I have no idea.
Okay,
What's the
because
answer?
it's the false goal that then gets replaced by the real goal.
Why
And
do you
hopefully-
keep a ledger inside of a car?
Well, you asked this gentleman that.
There's all kinds of things you can ask.
No, but this is the one that's sort of like that always bothered me. Of like, why am I? Do we get away with the safe in a wall that you can't get to?
Maybe there's another way in.
That's probably it.
Ladies and gentlemen, America's queen of comedy.
So Joan Rivers, this is just the shot that we got with our cameras, and Kanye West made cameos in the movie unwillingly, or not unwillingly. They didn't
Unknowingly.
Unknowingly. Joan Rivers and Kanye West made cameos in the movie, and then of course I asked them permission, and they gave me permission to use their image in the movie.
Get over here. She's not here. Nobody can find her. He said, what do you mean no one can find her? She's in the television room watching television. I said, are you kidding me? Put her on the telephone. He puts her on the telephone. I said, what are you doing? Your water didn't break? No. Your vagina's not dilated?
So this was written as like a 2-line scene, and this is one of Casey's improvs right here.
You seen Josh? Manuel, will you show me the pen?
And this is one of my favorite lines in the movie when he says,
These FBI guys.
they took Miss Piggy. What did he say?
They took Miss Piggy out of the parade.
Out
I
of the
think
parade. That's strange.
Casey's really funny, and people don't realize that, because most of the stuff he does is dramatic, but he goes toe-to-toe with everyone in this movie, I think.
Yeah.
This shot is one of my favorite shots in the movie.
When I remember going in the edit room and Mark saying, how did you do this shot? I said, are you kidding me, Mark? You're asking me how I did it? I go, well, I can't tell you. And then he figured it out when I called his bluff.
But it's
a huge crane.
It's a great shot, and it went on from there, but I didn't use the whole shot.
This is sad right here. This is one of my closest friends, Heavy D. He passed away a few days ago, and he was great. I did a lot of his music videos when I was a kid, and he wanted to be in the movie, and I said, of course, I'll write you in the movie. So we put him in the movie, and unfortunately, he's passed since then, and made a great contribution to the movie.
He's a good actor.
Yeah, he's always been a good actor. I saw the first time I ever seen him was in a play he did with Larry Fishburne off Broadway, which was fantastic.
And he was a bartender in Bones for a couple seasons, I think, too.
Yeah, he's a great actor, solid actor. He was always a good actor. And that's why when I did his music videos, I always did put dialogue in the music videos, because he was one of the few rappers that can really act.
Empty. After all this shit is empty. Now what kind of...
Matthew was always upset because when Matthew puts the gun on Eddie, Eddie goes to his knees before Matthew says, get on your knees. And so every screening we had of this movie, Matthew would call me and say, why does he go to his knees before I say get on your knees? I said, nobody will care.
He didn't complain to me about that. But look, do you agree that the red was great? I mean, we're happy we changed it to red. Brown would have been pretty boring. I'm happy we went to the... Now, how did you come up with the gold car?
I think wanted to steal a car, needed to make it more valuable than just a...
But isn't there a movie that there's a gold car in the movie?
There's a movie called The Solid Gold Cadillac. I've never seen it.
There was another movie where
there might be. I tend to steal things from movies I've forgotten that I've seen.
Yeah.
Thus all the lawsuits.
Yeah.
Josh, it's about 45 million.
Jesus. $45 million?
Give or take 10 million.
Man, give me that crowbar. I'm gonna break a chunk
Here's a funny little thing. When Matthew quotes the actual price of gold, when you shot it, the price of gold was way down.
Oh yeah, it was 1,300. It was written 1,300 something, and it went up to 1,800 something, and that's why we changed it.
You didn't change the value of the car.
No,
I know.
we looped it.
So
So
you
the
got to
math-
be a mathematical.
The math doesn't work anymore.
The math doesn't work, but you got to be a mathematical genius. He said, give or take 10 million. So this pull on the roof right here is completely digital. And we read the structure was there. You see behind him right there, there was that structure, but
This
it wasn't
is an actual shot, though. It's not a.
This was actually shot on the real roof of
All
the
right, and
Trump
so you
International.
have a crane going over the rail.
I have a crane going over the rail. Yes, we put a crane up there, and I shot all this stuff with the crane. And I think this is the shot that really connects all the dots and makes people really believe.
How'd Pena like looking over the edge there?
Yeah, he was actually tied with a wire because he was so nervous that he was going to fall over. But this shot right here, and of course we put in that parade because I shot plates of the parade. So it is a real shot with CGI enhancement, and that's my approach to digital. And this is the best shot in the movie digitally, I think, right here.
Because that was a green screen shot.
This was a green screen shot. Yeah. And then we in the last minute figured out that we should put the window washer out the window because we left it out for all the versions. And then I said, oh my God, the window washer's not there because it went down.
At some point, I did some research on how much weight window washers can bear and elevators can bear, and I thought, well, it's close enough. I didn't do the math on how much a car made of gold would weigh, but I think the elevator or window washer would have borne the weight of a normal Ferrari.
Also, it worked in solid gold Cadillac, so you knew.
Oh yeah, God, I love that movie.
You sober and try to take everything for yourself? Even when you were 6, you couldn't share.
I just want to share with your little silly seizure-having ass.
Right, you know what? That's it. I don't want you talking.
So the complication was really, there's multiple pieces that make, this is a set, this is a practical shot right here. We put the camera out the window. That was 4 pieces. We built 4 floors of the building on stage right there. So this next shot of it pushing the crowd is a set piece that we built on stage, and then we comped in the background.
It's always fun to.
And people gasped when this car goes out the window because it was so real because we didn't do it really CGI. We use CGI enhancements. My approach to visual effects is to use as much in camera as possible, and I think it really worked. This is a real shot of the real building, and of course the car is digital here. But we shot the actual car practically.
I put that shot of SpongeBob in there because my daughter Taya is such a big SpongeBob fan, and put the song in there for her. I couldn't name a character for this movie, but I did that. It's always really interesting when you're constructing these death-defying scenes, when all you're looking at is green screen and there's no depth or anything. So editing it together is a trick of the mind that you hope that once the green screen is filled in, that it will actually be dizzying.
I have a question. Why didn't they lower the car more for Matthew here?
He had to pull it in.
He had to pull it in.
How if it was lower, how would he pull it in?
It would hit it would hit the
up,
bottom
right?
edge. It would hit the bottom ledge there.
It seemed like they made it very difficult for him.
Well, just to go back, there was animatics done for this. Every shot here was designed, pre-designed, especially with the car swinging out the window because we had to see the geometry.
You don't storyboard.
I storyboard the whole sequence, and then I did animatics of those storyboards.
When there was action, yeah.
When there was action, to see the geometry and geography.
And how close is all that to what?
It's almost identical. I mean, we came up with some other shots.
Very similar.
Very, very similar. That'll be on the DVD as well.
Do you storyboard anything else, or just your action?
Just the action sequences. I know what I walk on the set and I kind of, at this point, kind of know what I'm. Unless there's a specific shot that I want. Storyboard is really there to remind me of the shots that I'm looking to do. But when you go on stage, when you go on the set, there's obstacles per se that, things have to change sometimes, or an actor blocks it differently and you like that better. This is also a great shot here. This structure that he's leaning out of is actually 4 stories of the building that we built on stage, which is why it looks so real. And then we extend it, of course. So when Ben and Eddie are sliding down the building, they're sliding down the facade of the building.
Yo, we got a dangler! Help me! Vince, you's dangling! Shit! Vince! Help!
I can't think of a movie that uses the external, face of a building like this.
Yeah. Well, Mission Impossible coming up. We'll use it.
Grab the rope!
But this was very complex stuff. But it wasn't. This stuff is not done on the fly. This stuff is, storyboarded. Animatics are done. It's methodically designed. It's tested. We test the car. We test the actor hanging from the car. This is not something that we take lightly. We spend a lot of time, hours and hours and hours. Now that is a CGI building. That building is completely fake. And that's the real build. That's our 4-story facade there. But this is actually Matthew, hanging there with him hanging there off the facade of the building. Of course, he's tied down so he can't fall.
Casey Affleck's really strong.
Mm-hmm. He did a lot of Iron Man competitions growing up. You can
and Mark did a fantastic job, I think, in interweaving this. It's in NYU Film School. We would take in a class. We would have an assignment of parallel action, and I think Mark did a fantastic job at kind of intercutting and interspersing. Because I said my rule was I want to know where everyone is at every moment, and that's why I cut back to Judd Hirsch in the closet. You always want to know where all your characters. Once you lose characters, people start to miss them and figure out they forget about them. So I want to. And there was many more shots of the exterior of the parade, many more shots of the parade going on, many more shots. And when we watched it, it slowed down the pace. It slowed down. So the idea here was to make sure that we knew where every character was. Pena's on the roof. Michael Pena's character is on the roof. Fitzhugh is here inside the building. Inside the apartment. Of course, Eddie and Ben are inside the car.
Agent Denham's on the way
back. Denham's on the way back. But it's intercutting that with precision, I think, and with timing that allows for an exciting third act, an exciting kind of heist.
I love the rhythm of just this moment of that hitting, swinging in. It's
And I was surprised with the huge applause. I was so happy because this was so complicated to figure out. Okay, how do we make this pay off? And when people cheer in the theater when the car swings in, it was just such a satisfying moment for me personally as a filmmaker.
I was glad that you cut out Eddie's throw up that used to fly down the side of the building.
Yeah, there was digital vomit at one point.
That was Mark's, idea, actually.
How did you, Brett, how did you and Mark meet originally?
He came for a job interview on Money Talks on my first movie. Okay. And it was a blessing in disguise because anytime I've ever attempted to work with another, whenever Mark decides he's going to retire, which has been several times from editing, he said, I'm not going to edit anymore. I end up trying things with other editors. I can't work with other editors with Mark, meaning if Mark is the leader of the team and then I have other editors in there, that works fine. But my communication skills, my ADD has actually gotten worse. And I just found my life partner, I would say you would call it, with
What's great working with Brett is that we don't have to speak to each other and to know what we expect from each other.
Yeah.
So I know what I'm going to get from him. I can count that he's going to get what I need, and he can count that I'm going to do what he wants most of the time.
Yeah.
Or at least tell him.
Yeah. This was a scene also that we had discussions about whether you could actually do this, have this woman walk in the hall.
And I have to give you credit for this because the truth is you were able to write scenes, and the same thing happened in Rush Hour when we're at the third act. You want to get to the villain, you want to get to the MacGuffin, you want to get to the big moment, and you stop the movie to see Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker dance to war. And only you can really pull stuff like this off.
Ted wrote that scene.
Okay.
In Rush Hour? Thank you. Thank you for giving me credit for that.
No, but this is a scene that, again, most people can say you don't need. It's not necessary.
We had discussions with people, and then even once you had your first ad, I remember some studio people were like, I don't know if you can have this woman walk down the hall. And she had a great F-bomb that would have been very funny that we had to cut, too.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is one of those moments that gets back to the central idea of the movie, which is these are guys who are known or who are in a servile position in this building, and they're robbing the building. Mm-hmm. So it's sometimes you can get caught up in what's going on and forget sort of the context of.
And you know what the truth is, when I read this, I was like, how am I going to pull this off? How the hell? It wasn't until I started getting to the mechanics of it and the miniatures. That's my dog, actually, Lucky, which hopefully will be on some kind of Universal exhibit one day at the Universal lot. They'll have Lucky's face up on the lot with the rest of the movie animals that were part of movies. But until I got into the mechanics of the physicality of putting an elevator into the, and testing it out, and the cables, are the cables in the way, the details of it, what's in the way, how do we balance it, how do 4 guys hold the car up, what's the, the technical aspects of it.
So does she design that with literally like a stunt crew? How does she design that so you can shoot it?
There's mechanical engineers in there, and we get in there and we look at, okay, how do we physically do this? And normally the rules I have is if we can't shoot it physically, we're not going to put it in. And that's an example of a shot of the car going up and we're going up with it. That how do we actually physically do this shot? It's not humanly possible, and I broke my rule. Like this shot right here. This is not physically possible with a camera. Here's my Die Hard shot right here.
Oh yeah.
Like, boom.
And then there's Bruce.
Yeah, and instead there's Eddie. So, but there's certain shots that I let slide because I thought it pushed the story forward and it was exciting, and I broke my rule, which is, if you physically can't get a camera in there, don't do it. But, and that's why I was able to pull it off, But I think it's a lot of technical stuff. Like we had to put 2 pieces of metal to hold the car in place on the bottom of the, because it's hard to balance a car when, but all you do is for movie magic is you take a chain and you start tying it around, and then the audience thinks, okay, it's being held like that.
So is that a shell car or?
That's a real car. The only thing that's not in there is the engine. We built the car. We had 2 cars. We built it from scratch. It's an identical replica of the Steve McQueen car. But it's all the details and the specificity of making that work. And, whatever's in the frame is what the reality that I'm creating, And here, great parallel action, upstairs, downstairs, what's going on, back and forth. It just, you never get bored, I think, in the theater watching the stuff, and you're with the drama, and you're on the edge of your seat waiting to see what happens. And it's about really being ahead of the audience, and we came back and shot this shot of the car busting out of the bottom of the garage, because we wanted the audience to think that they were actually maybe in that truck, the way it was structured before. And that's what I think is great about my collaboration with Mark, is that he'll show me a structure or show me a scene, even if it's just a scene, where I'll design a scene, I'll put, I'll shoot it in order, the sequence, and he'll put it completely out of order and show me something that I never would have came up with or never would have thought of, and even moving scenes out of order, which just changed the dynamic of it, which is really exciting for me, because you really create the movie. Obviously you write the script, you guys, and then I shoot it, but then you have like 3 chances to reinvent the movie, which is exciting.
And editing's the final one.
Right here, these 2 people.
That's a good start.
Making a camera.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought it was really funny that Lester is getting such glee out of nearly mowing down all of these parade goers.
That reminded me of a shot in Animal House. This coming through the band shot.
Yeah. So yeah, shooting on Central Park West there was so exciting, and it was the coldest day I've ever been outside. Right here in this alley, right here between these buildings, right here. But it's about a lot of angles, a lot of coverage. Make it feel big, make it feel dynamic. You could have done it in probably 2 or 3 shots, and I did it in 10. It's getting the right amount of coverage. That took 38 takes, by the way. That guy opening that.
Really?
That was an extra, basically. And it was impossible to get it right. Just some people are great at doing physical stuff, and some people just can't do the physical stuff. And he just had a hard time opening the back of that truck.
How many days did you shut down Central Park West?
I think it was over 2 weekends.
Okay. 2
separate weekends. We went back and shot the close-up of the dog, it was a cute little... Then we only spent like 2 days after we finished the movie going back and doing little pickups, little tiny pickups.
Dog. Miss Montero, FBI, you're under arrest.
Charlie Gibbs, FBI, you're under arrest.
I love how this was edited, just this kind of montage, and, the different characters' reactions, and, of course, Pena's character runs. And then this is one of my favorite shots in the movie.
Beautiful New York shot. Can't shoot that anywhere else.
Yeah.
And that was
well,
not
Canada. Canada would have
Central
been
Park.
perfect.
And we did this take first with like 20 guards because there was a line where he goes, I'm bringing backup, whatever. And he had like 20 guards, SWAT guys with guns. And it was just it just looked like overkill. So it was more intimate. And this is a oneer again. I try to do as many oneers as possible.
Saturday night at 6 different restaurants. I'll give you the names if you want to check.
That's okay.
I think she's very good in this scene. But my favorite scene in the movie is this next scene.
Well, if this next scene, it's my favorite scene as well, Jeff. And if this scene didn't work, the movie wouldn't have worked, I thought. And it's really, if you think about it, his checkmate at the end is really the end of the movie. I mean, that's the big, and all of the extra stuff of everybody getting the gold and everything was really just a bonus for the audience. But this is where you get your full satisfaction. I love this moment when they don't want to look at him, they don't want to make eye contact. And he's in the back, and I was trying to think, how do I seat them? And I go, okay, him against them. And
How was it shooting the scene?
it was pretty simple. For me, it was about the composition, and getting the camera in there was very tight. It was a real paddy wagon. It was hard getting the camera in there, and the biggest close-ups in the movie are in the scene at the end. But I think it was deserved. If you notice, I don't have very many my big close-ups in the movie.
Right.
I have when he's talking to Lester in the hospital because I need an emotional moment, but I don't go in very close throughout the movie. I save those moments, and normally Mark has to tell me to pull back because a lot of times, remember, I think I'm much more disciplined.
Now you're shooting wider, which is.
I'm shooting for the big screen. I'm thinking about the big picture and not going in close unless I really have to for the moments. Because if you think about it, if it's a great shot. Close-ups are always the best shots, but if you have too many of them, you get numb to them. They don't.
Are you guys shaking this, or did you?
We're shaking
This was on a stage. This van was not moving, but somebody was jiggling it the whole time.
You think that car has value?
Was that you, Ted?
I'm jiggling it now.
Devereaux, will you please remind Mr.
This was a bold choice too, having Devereaux deliver that line, which is a killer line, and I thought that was really well.
Right here. Here's the two biggest shots in the movie. Right here. But it's the climax of the movie, and I think you needed it. And I think the performance is excellent. Of course, again, going back to reminding people,
about Mr. Simon. Now you did shoot him actually coming out of the closet, but I thought it was funnier just.
No, this is a scene that will haunt me probably for the rest of my life because since people have seen the movie, a lot of people have come up to me and said, "You know what my favorite line is, Ted?" And it's "So you" is "Sharks are born swimming," and I have to sit there and smile and eat it because it's Jeff's line.
I'm not even sure it's mine, to be honest.
I'm pretty sure it's not mine.
We'll have to do some research. See which of the 14
I think it's
other
got to
writers.
be yours.
The FBI director is named after Craig Mazin, who wrote the Scary Movie movies.
Oh, really?
That's I guess another name nod. And now he owes me dinner.
You put your doctor's name in on.
Oh, Dr. Carr. Yeah, I put my doctor's name in at the hospital scene. Paging Dr. Carr. My buddy Cybel Carr.
But this only happens if my clients walk.
You've been a lawyer for less than a week, and you're trying to bribe the United States government?
Sharks are born swimming.
Nina Arianda, great actress, really great, solid actress. I mean, small part, but she, it wasn't about the amount of lines. She made her moments
Very
count.
memorable because at the end of the film, people remember who she is, and they.
We did a bunch of endings for this movie and continue to write them and
shoot them.
It was shoot them, and it was sort of a endless process. And I think what you guys came up with ultimately in the edit was very simple and elegant, and there is no real need for anything else.
I have a 1 o'clock back wax, so I'm going to sneak out of here and let you guys talk about me over the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Okay.
But thank you for listening, and thank you guys for having me.
Why don't you say your last words and we'll edit it onto the end?
Nathanson, hack.
The same message I get at home.
Yeah. I'll text you that later. Thank you guys.
All right.
Thanks, Ted.
And I had a blast doing this, by the way. You can leave that in or not, but I had a totally great time making this movie, except for that one day with you, Jeff.
Hi, Ted.
I don't know if you want to talk about the shot on the top of the roof that Casey's not in.
Yeah, Casey didn't show up that day, actually. So because Casey kept wanting to cut himself out of scenes, and he thought, I'm the reluctant guy. I'm the guy who does not want to cooperate with this heist. I don't believe in it, And he did not believe he wanted to be in that scene at the end of the movie.
But then you did the baby being born.
Right. The reason that we did the baby scene is because he didn't show up for shooting on that day on the roof, and they actually put a stand-in pole there, and they were going to digitally put Casey on the roof. But in an effort to save money, I just suggested, why don't you just show the birth of the baby? And
Every good idea was yours, man.
yeah, I've got 3 at least.
This was great. I mean, we went to real apartments all over New York, and I love the way Dante lit it, and just very real, and Christy just picked some great locations. And this is a great way. I mean, I'm very proud of this ending. You know, he says everything in his face. You know,
Ben has a wonderful look in his eye there.
Yeah, and Ben's never gone to jail before in a movie. You know, he's never gone to prison before, and it's just a cool. It was reminiscent of, like I said, the movies of the '70s, the heist movies, where, you know, it ended on someone going to prison, or it ended on someone dying, or ended on someone, you know, getting busted for, you know, taking one for the team. You know, it's always, most movies today are wrapping up with happy endings. They're all, you know.
Yeah, this was a very 70s kind of ending. It wasn't originally designed to be this way. I mean, there were
But we discovered
2
it-
more scenes
yeah.
that were shot after that. One took place 16 months later when Josh gets out of jail and Slide is there to pick him up.
Yeah.
Sort of a reverse of the other scene when Slide got out of jail. And that...
But we discovered it in the edit room. We were just sitting there one day, and I don't, you know, we just said, "Oh my God, why don't
There's
we?"
4 endings. Let's lop off some.
Let's lop off some.
In
We
fact,
ended it there.
Christoph Beck was the guy who pushed it over the edge. He said, "Why don't you just end it on his face?" Is very French.
Yeah.
He's Canadian, so I mean, he has this affinity towards French.
The second unnecessary ending was a party that the entire staff was having for Ben, that Ben walked into, and it was in Lester's bar. Lester had bought a bar, and in the middle of the party, Téa Leoni's character shows up, and you think that maybe, you know, she's gonna bust him, and turns out she's not. So that is that it? Was that all?
And no, there was another. Yeah, that was also in that scene. You discovered that that Eddie and Gabourey, or I
Got
should say,
got married.
together. They got married, and they do a funny dance together.
I'm very proud of this ending. You can see some of the other endings on the DVD, but I think as the movie exists, there won't be a director's cut with other endings added and stuff. We forgot to give a shout out to Marty Katrosser, one of my other
the best script
supervisor
in the
who's
world.
been on most of my movies. This was such a great experience making this movie, and it took years and years to get together, but it was definitely a incredible experience for me. Like I said, one of the hardest movies I've ever done, but definitely one of the most rewarding, because I got the chance to work with Ben Stiller and Eddie Murphy and some of my heroes. And in one movie, I was talking to Jeff one day, I remember saying, we have Axel Foley, we have Ferris Bueller, and Hawkeye in one movie. I mean, it was incredible. And the opportunity to work with these actors that I grew up watching, I'm much younger than Jeff and Mark over here, you know, and Ted. But I grew up really admiring these actors and being such a big fan. It was such a great opportunity for me to work with them, and to work with people that you like, with your friends, you know, with Jeff and Mark and Ted, was really a great time. And I'm looking forward to more great movies.
It's a pleasure working with you.
Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching the DVD, and I hope you enjoyed our talk. Hope we weren't too boring for you, but we wanted to give you some insight on...
but Ted wrote all this before.
We wanted to give you some insight on the process, on how we make movies, and how it's definitely not brain surgery, and it's definitely not easy, but it's definitely fun for us, and we get a lot of joy and passion about sharing our stories with you, and we love sharing stories with people who are interested, and we appreciate your support, and thanks for seeing the movie and buying this DVD.